Hello everyone. Looking at something a little bit different today, the SCP Foundation Russian branch. Yes, the SCP Foundation has branches in all different languages and countries, and a number of them have native objects that we don't have on the English Wiki. So I'm running just the Google Translate plugin in my Brave browser, and I came across an interesting one. I've noticed on the Russian Wiki, the articles tend to be long and in-depth. So I just wanted to start with one that I found pretty interesting that was a digestible length. So we're looking at SCP-1251-RU, Pure Secret. Object class neutralized. Status pending O5 Council. Terms of consideration indefinitely until the final verdict. Order from Site Director 7 or the Director of Site 7. I hereby prohibit mentioning in this document the real characteristics of the object, with the exception of those that do not allow to form an accurate idea of its nature and purpose. I especially ask you to pay attention to the contrast between the conditions of detention and the description of the object. Also, in order to maintain the current value of the confidence coefficient, the names of specialists working with the object are replaced with pseudonyms. Remark from somebody named Kvochkina. I'm assuming this is a scientist. It's not a word I recognize or Translate recognizes, so I'm assuming it's a proper noun and name. Apparently, restraining an object is possible only indirectly by creating documents describing the conditions of its detention. The security measures described in the relevant section are ineffective due to the complete or partial non-existence of the facility. The section itself should not be used as a guide to action, but as a point of concentration of attention necessary to contain the threat. Interesting. Explanation from equipment for this section, Special Conditions of Detention. When instructing agents, they should be instilled with absolute confidence that the information is correct. It is also advisable to believe in them yourself. This is necessary in order to reduce the confidence coefficient as safely as possible, thereby gaining the ability to balance its value by obtaining true information about the nature of the object. So this is a complex ontological kind of entity. Special containment procedures. The facility is located in a standard containment cell for Class C1 humanoids. Near the camera, there should always be 2 guards armed with full-time paralyzers. I'm assuming this is like a taser. The object is forbidden to talk, smoke, or commit acts of urination and defecation at any time except for the designated time. List of object requests. The rug is denied. Soap is denied. And we have a whole bunch of other things denied. Creamy wafers, tail, sleep, air is approved only with 2 employees with a clearance level 3 or higher. Heart denied. Lungs denied. Magnifier denied. Silence denied. Eyelashes denied. Being is denied. Felt allowed. I don't know if this means felt as in the object or as in the verb. Description. The object is a black sphere with a diameter of 45 centimeters consisting of an unknown substance. So already this contradicts the special containment procedures because all of these make it seem as though it's a humanoid, and this here is saying that it's a black sphere. Special property of an object is that as its study and systematization of existing information progresses, it gradually ceases to exist. See the phenomenon of slipping away. An object exhibits a similar property when certain information about it is distorted or interpreted incorrectly. By non-existence, however, it is not meant the actual absence of the object, but only a change in the perception of the object by observers. The current status of the facility, which I'm assuming in this case is actually talking about the object, is neutralized, 54% on the scale of information reliability. Corresponds to the so-called incomplete non-existence. that is, a state in which the object is available for partial study and containment. It is impossible to assign the object a valid class due to an increase in the coefficient of reliability and violation by the object of the conditions of detention by means of a transition into the state of complete non-existence. So basically what they're saying there is if they study it enough to understand it, then the nature of it changes enough that it will be in a state of non-existence and no longer be contained. So we're kind of looking at a duality kind of thing here, where it both is and isn't. It's a glossary which I have not seen before. Complete non-existence is a hypothetical state of the object, passing into which it becomes inaccessible for study and containment. The exact value of the confidence coefficient required to transition to this state is unknown. The slip phenomenon is a standard reaction of the object to attempts to realize its nature. The phenomenon arises as soon as the reliability of information about the object exceeds the upper threshold value and goes beyond the lower threshold. See reliability coefficient. Reliability coefficient, a value characterizing the truth of information about an object. The danger is represented by both a low coefficient, meaning an excessive amount of false information, and a high one, excess of true information. The approximate lower threshold of the coefficient is about 32%. The approximate upper threshold of the coefficient is about 61%. So basically we need to have somewhere between, we call it 35 and 55% accurate knowledge about this thing to contain it. Any more than that and we know too much and it starts to slip out of our recognized existence, and any less than that, then it seems that our incorrect information affects its actual being. Note from Kovotchkina again. One of the main problems is that we cannot find out exactly what the object threatens humanity with, since acquiring this knowledge is tantamount to realizing a hypothetical threat, without any possibility on our part to prevent this threat. In fact, we are forced to lie to ourselves, while maintaining a certain ratio of truthful and false information, exactly what is needed to contain the object. Addition from Technica's technical specifications. It should be stipulated in advance that by the content of an object we do not mean its actual containment, but only the possibility of observing it. The object itself does not show any activity except for transitions from one phase of partial existence to another. Supplement to the supplement. Based on existing data, I emphasize, that the relatively stable existence of the object can be guaranteed by perceiving it partially as a myth or fantasy. Believe and not believe. This is the key to containment. So essentially this is saying the best way to contain it is to believe in the object, but believe in it as a concept of myth or fantasy. Interesting. The definition cell is a special procedure for describing the object, due to which it is possible to maintain the required value of the coefficient of reliability of information about the object. The procedure involves the deliberate introduction of misinformation in the documentation, concealment of reliable information, the submission of relatively reliable facts in the form of hypotheses and assumptions, a constant review of the conditions of detention, as well as a number of planned experiments aimed at creating such a description of the object that, being comprehensive and accurate, would be at the same time subjective, that is, not claiming absolute understanding. Then we have an experiment. An agent, formerly a monk, was asked to write a poem on the subject using allegories and metaphors. Writes, "What a thing, I haven't seen one like that. She is like a ball, albeit not quite, but still, and not black even though its color is dark. Perhaps the one who alone created the whole world is hidden in it. Oh, I probably can't know because he is unknowable, and we are not given a description of it. Only to admire kneeling and to beg to exalt himself." So this is a lot going on here. It calls back obviously to SCP-055, which we don't have one of those, obviously. But in the sense that the more you try to figure out about it, the less you know. So what I'm gathering here, and of course with the translation, I think there's a little bit lost. What I'm gathering here is that all of these requests, as well as the things that it's not allowed to do, it's not allowed to do that because if we allowed it to do that, then that would be acknowledging its nature as a humanoid entity. And we want to keep it unknown, and they want to keep it in a mass as this unknown black sphere. Now, one thing I'm not sure about, okay, so they have this threshold where they can have reliable information about it, and it has to be within 32 to 61%. I'd like to know how they arrive at what that number is, because to judge the reliability of their information, they would have to have a 100% accurate data set to apply it to. Therefore, they would already have to have a 100% reliability coefficient and then have a separate set of data and be constantly comparing what the separate set of data says to what they concretely know about it, which would defeat the whole point of containment. So I'm a little confused about that, unless it's somehow, written off as being an anomalous way of knowing the percent. I don't know, but it seems to me like this whole thing is self-defeating right here. Anyways, that was just something that I found was interesting, and looking at, on the English Wiki, we're reaching almost 5,000 different articles, but the Russian Wiki is one of the biggest alternative ones. And there's a lot on here that we may not have had the chance to see and read, so I wanted to dive into that a little bit. Let me know if you liked this, if you want me to keep going, or if there's anything else on the site you'd like me to explore. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you enjoyed it like I did, I hope to see you subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one. Thank you.